What's up, you lazy, entitled, basement-dwelling millennials, bootstrapping boomers, apathetic Xers, and goddamn Gen Z kids today? So yeah, the debate happened. It was a thing. We live streamed it.
We sure did. It was pretty sweet. That we were actually able to get that to work moderately well, besides the minor AirPod audio issues, which I think we got fixed about halfway through, so that was good. But it was super awesome interacting with all the people during the debate, and obviously
we're going to be doing it again for the vice presidential debate coming up too. So if you guys enjoyed that or if you missed it, put that on your schedule. We are going to try to do some of this more just live react type stuff to those kinds of things and interact with you guys a little bit more. It was actually a lot of fun. I thought I was going to hate it, and it was pretty much a good time.
Wow, such strong feelings.
I've been this live streaming stuff has been a rough road for me, like getting this all figured out. But we are we're working on it, slowly coming together. Every time is incrementally more professional, I feel like. And when I say incrementally, I mean very incrementally.
And sometimes less professional.
Sometimes less professional. Sometimes you got to take a step back before you can take another step forward.
One step back, two steps forward, something like that,
But yeah, and then a lot of my opinions I noticed on the debate gave people some feelings. So we'll get into that.
There was a little bit of that. So
we'll get into that. But that's what we started off. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. We got to watch Mango Mussolini talk about how delicious cats and dogs are.
I said the fat Cheeto man, but I like Mango Mussolini.
Cheeto Benito.
Cheeto Benito. There we go. That's pretty good.
So, I guess it was a debate.
I mean, if you can even call it that, they didn't even really debate any topics.
No,
well,
and that's kind of what I want to get into. I guess first, if you guys want to go, if you haven't watched it, our live stream is up. We would enjoy if you watch it with our commentary and technical difficulties.
Right.
But you can go check that out. And if you don't mind spoilers, you said this. It's pretty much a waste of time in your eyes to watch the debate.
Yeah, I wouldn't if you're really interested in it, then absolutely take a look at our debate, watch the whole thing that's clipped, whatever. It's not history altering even noteworthy of historical debates by a long, huge margin.
And this is what got people, I think, on my side. Well, so first of all, let's be real. The first half just getting going was painful. I mean,
it was really rough. I don't know how much more of a pissing match you can get into. And I get that was Kamala's
somebody in the comments said it was watching a cop beat a senior citizen for 2 hours live.
Right, but with the foam pool noodle, whack, whack, whack. Not it doesn't actually hurt, but they're upset about it. That's the vibe I got. That's a good one.
So obviously Trump jumped right into the same bullshit we knew he was going to jump into, which was diverting everything back to immigration.
Man, I don't know how many things he can blame on immigration, but it's got to be more fingers than he has.
Yeah, everything is immigration's fault, I stubbed my toe because the illegal immigrants are coming here across Biden's wide open border. I don't know if you've seen Biden doing what he's doing, and I'm not running against Biden again. Oh, right. Harris's wide open border. Right. He did spend half the time thinking he was debating Biden still, it felt like.
It definitely felt like he had not adjusted to somebody who can articulate a full sentence without, appearing that they are geriatric. So, even the reports leading up to the debate were he's just chilling, getting blowies from Laura Loomer or whatever. her name is. I read that comment.
Dude, I didn't even know it was a thing. Like the first stuff I saw about it was satire.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I didn't even know it was a deal until I saw satire about it, and then had to go Google it, and it's like, oh, so he's just got a conspiracy Monica Lewinsky traveling around with him on his private jet.
I mean, like if Melania's not gonna do it, he's got to find somebody to wrap his weird arm around and make them feel awkward.
It is so weird. But anyway, yeah. Wow, that got me so off topic.
No,
just
but
things that
basically
make
the
me
first
go
half, the first half, basically the only thing that we learned was or relearned was how much Trump really is sensitive about the size of his corn cob. I mean, crowd size.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely got under his skin. So, like, I will say that I felt like Kamala's debate performance was mediocre at best. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I mean, I've been hearing this was the greatest debate of all time. I'm like, were we watching the same fucking debate? But where it gets on is, I will give her this. She did a really good job at keeping on point on Trump. Like, she was quick. She knew which buttons to come out, how to get under his skin, how to make him unravel with the crowd size thing, obviously hitting him right away there. Her making sure she laughed at him at the right time. This former president.
All right, that mic drop moment was a top 10 moment. Like, that was
in debate history. That was definitely like that was a highlights reel for like all debate history right there.
Yeah,
for sure. But
that doesn't win the debate for me.
No. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, you had in our draft here that she came out with some new policy stuff. I missed that. Where was I for this new policy information?
So it wasn't new for the debate, but it was new like for her, as in like within the week she had just released it. So like it was the first time I think that like on the national stage she released the policies. So like if you weren't paying attention to her stumping around, doing stump speeches and stuff, you wouldn't have known probably about them.
Yeah. So that was my thing. Is Kamala looked amazing next to Donald Trump, but Donald Trump is a toddler in a 78-year-old man's body, and you have to be, an 80-something-year-old man who is just blue screening a little bit to not look amazing next to him, And I do think that Trump's performance was slightly better than his performance against Biden.
Yeah, I think he rose to a little bit to his challenger, obviously.
But Kamala was so much better.
Yeah, it looked like she actually prepared for a debate and not just a pissing match.
Yeah, and so she kept on point. She kept him unraveling and kept him kind of on the run and allowing him to say unhinged shit that would be meme-worthy the next day. And there was a lot of meme-worthy shit. I mean, we've already got like 2 or 3 songs that came out of that. Really? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
I haven't heard any of them, but then again, I'm not online in that space.
Yeah,
I'm just online in other spaces.
So it was definitely meme worthy, and she was on top of that. But that wasn't a debate. That was,
that was like a slam down, like a WWE showdown.
Yeah. It was like a rap battle, basically.
And not as cool as like the historical figures that are drunk rap battling.
No, my God, no, not that cool.
Early internet amazingness.
Oh God, I miss the old days of YouTube, man. The golden age of the internet is behind us, sadly.
Yes, it is.
I
mean, there's
my spoon's too big.
I mean, the old Greg stuff's pretty awesome. Obviously, the drunk history was awesome. The figure.
Do you remember Drunk Kitchen?
Drunk Kitchen? No.
It was just this lady who got fucking hammered on like 2 bottles of wine and then tried to cook stuff. That was all it was. It was amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, so it was when it came to and so I criticized. I was like, I thought Kamala did better than I expected because she didn't get any of those awkward hung up moments when she was asked questions from the moderators, which I was expecting because she does that a lot in interviews. And she did that a lot in her 2020 primary race. Like during the debates and stuff, she would get hung up and just awkward when the questions were directed at her. She's really good at taking her opponents to task because she's former prosecutor. And she did that really well with Trump. But like when the tables are turned and it's on her, she tends to struggle a little bit. And it seemed like she's really been working on that. And she
did a pretty good job, in my opinion. I don't think that she knocked it out of the park by any means. Like she responded, but I sort of felt like it was a little bit of the CNN interview where she was a little bit dodgy and just not really like fully, which is like the politician prerogative, right? Like, so I don't know that I'm necessarily expecting a lot more, just hoping for more, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that's why when people are like, "Come, I'll put up this just insanely great debate performance," I'm like, with what? What she had no policy specifics. There was not one. Like if I hear opportunity economy one more time, I am going to take the opportunity to throw my beer can at the TV screen. Like I am so fucking sick of hearing that with no policy specifics. Like just give me fucking policy specifics. Opportunity economy means nothing. Stop saying it.
Yeah, so she did bring up her, I think the entrepreneur like tax cut for new people, for people that are trying to get like a $50,000 loan, they can like write off $25,000 of it or something.
Yeah,
their, like first year of business, which is like okay, like cool, like that'll probably help some small businesses. What does she bring up again? Like she brought up that another thing that bugged me, and also I was like, okay, that's fine. Was her healthcare take was like, we're gonna increase benefits for seniors that are receiving Medicare right now. But we're not going to
fuck everybody else
ACA to any other, other than just if you're retired, which is like cool. Like retired people should absolutely have that care, but so should everybody else.
But also, like we need health care too.
I believe people that are younger than 65 do still, in fact, get sick, get injured, and sometimes need preventative care and stuff like that.
That's a thing that we should just.
I've heard that.
And that was. The whole thing just really felt like, she just Cupid shuffle slide to the right on that because she used to support universal health care outwardly, and now she's like, I'm going to reel that back in a little bit. And then, we talk about the need for renewable energy and to address climate change, and then she's like, we're fracking left, we're fracking right, we're fracking everybody around here. We've fracked more people in more places than anybody's ever fracked before, and...
Yeah, well, she did the classic Democrat thing there where instead of, saying, in some ways she has said the right thing, but she just doesn't follow it up with like the actual like right policy position to portray. Instead, she just reacts to like, oh, you're for fracking now. It's like, well, she probably was never in favor of fracking. She never wants fracking, but she understands that you don't just cut off fracking cold turkey. You migrate from it, and this is how we're going to do it.
Here's our 10-year transition plan or whatever it's going to be, but there was no policy specifics. It's just like she's out there bragging like we've produced more oil and gas than any presidential administration in history, and that's true. It's also not the bragging point that at least certain of us think it should be.
No.
And it's like she's just taking that Overton window and chucking it, and it was that she had that cringy most lethal military comment again, which just
I don't understand. I'll never understand it. And even so, I spoke with a couple of my family members who are, on the right leaning for sure, but not like really, really dialed into politics necessarily, in the super specifics of like policy and just. Whatever, but so they're a little bit vibe based, and they were like, Trump was an utter moron.
Yeah, no, he was a fucking disaster.
And then Kamala said a bunch of weird shit, and they didn't know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
They were like, how could anybody vote for this crazy whacked out dude? We can understand why somebody would think that he might be like pro-fascist Project 2025 shit because he just says insane stuff all the time. And then you have somebody who just like clearly is just not like doing anything interesting or like anything other than what corporate America wants her to say.
Yeah. And so I did have a bunch of people, because like when I brought that up, a bunch of people were like, oh, the most lethal military comment is to try to appeal to conservatives. And I'm like, I don't feel like that's A, going to work. Like, how are you going to appeal to them anyway? And B, you could have said strongest military, most capable military, most advanced military. There's a dozen other adjectives you could use that don't sound
like we want to be the best at murdering
right.
everybody.
And then a lot of people
and kill the most people.
And this is something that I get a lot too when like I came out with these same criticisms and people didn't agree with me, was that, oh, she just needs to say these things to appeal to moderates because the Democratic Party is only ever obsessed with like the 4 moderates left in the United States.
Right.
And
the ones that don't vote, by the way.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, she needs to do that. She doesn't really mean these things. She'll come back and move back to the left, after the election. And I'm like,
right.
Maybe that's true, but maybe it's not. And like, I'm one of those people who likes to take politicians at the words that are coming out of their mouth, not the hyperbole, hypothetical, this is their grand strategy type of thing. Like, we need to be changing this rhetoric on the front side, like, because us pandering to these talking points is why these talking points are still something we're pandering. I mean, it was Al Gore. We were talking about this green shit back in 2000, right? Like,
right.
24 years ago. This was 25 years ago. This was a big topic back then. We have functionally done nothing since then.
Yeah, I mean, we've subsidized, green energy production to a certain extent, and we're what now, like in the teens of renewable energy production in 25 years.
That's
well, and how does that not enough time for a public figure to come up with like a good take on like the climate and renewable energy sources? It hasn't changed that much.
No.
Like there are nuances that you should be aware of as the vice president of the United States and or potentially president of the United States.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can have such a bad just talking point of like, oh, you've changed your mind on fracking. All you have to say is I never have changed my mind on fracking. I've always been concerned about the water sources in the area and the impact it has on our environment. And it's important to phase that out in a responsible manner and in a way that still allows us to, move forward to renewable energy sources. Boom. 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And you've completely turned the page, and now you look like a badass instead of somebody who's just like backpedaling all the fucking time. And that's what I felt on that, watching her on that stage. Like none of the policies she talked about were interesting or wide-reaching or like would affect the entire country.
Yeah.
It was all just like really little specific things. I think Joe Biden had a more interesting platform in his 2020 campaign than she does right now,
because she really hasn't come out with a coherent platform.
Right. Yeah, I mean, she has some policies, but
she has some policy structure, but very little.
She has what you would maybe call concepts of a plan.
For everybody who didn't watch, they asked Donald Trump if he had a plan for
replacing Affordable Care Act.
Replacing health care, which, this has been the Republicans' thing since it came out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've got a concept of a plan.
He's like, I got a concept of a plan. I'm not in the office right now. It's like, you were in the office for 4 fucking years, asshole, and you didn't do shit, man. You didn't do squat.
That's
you
been their
put
thing.
out like a 1,000-page document that had nothing in it.
But that's been their thing from the beginning, is repeal and replace. And they're like, okay, replace with what? And they're like, we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, we're just gonna repeal it for now, and then we'll add something. I'm sure
we'll come
later down.
Trust
the road.
us, bro.
Yeah, trust us. Yeah. We're so amazing at policy. We're world renowned.
I don't know. So that's what frustrated me. Was I was hoping that she would show some more commitment to, the progressive voters of the Democratic Party has been alienating forever. She had some really great opportunities to move forward with that. It was like the same thing with Israel. It was like triple down on, we got to support Israel no matter what. And then she's like, yeah, but we also need a ceasefire. It's like, okay, cool. You got to walk that line. I totally understand that in American politics, there is that particular line that at this point you have to kind of walk. But she still had to end it, even after saying, like, we need, people in Gaza need respect, and there needs to be a ceasefire, there needs to be humanitarian aid, but also Israel has a right to defend itself, and our commitment to support them is undying, no matter how many people they make die.
Well, and once again, she just was like, well, we gotta look back at the history. October 7th, 2023. It's like I'm pretty sure there's been a little bit more history than the last almost year. I For her to start the conversation from there is, I mean, it's an APAC talking point. Like there's no other way about it. It's propaganda at this point. Like,
it is.
You can't. Most of America was tuned out about this whole issue, myself included. And I took a little bit of time to educate myself, and was like, oh, actually, this stems. You could reasonably say at World War One.
Yeah.
Back when the Ottoman Empire was slashed up.
Yep.
Reasonably, you could say that. Surely, people can argue it goes back to like biblical times, 0 AD, whatever.
Right.
But like whatever.
The modern issues in the region definitely stem from World War One. 100%. 100%. Like
you can verifiably point back to documents and back and forth communication.
And that is what put us on the path to where we currently are now today.
And I even said in there, I was like, that's the most ahistorical take I've heard anybody, try to say is truthful. On a national debate stage, on national television, where freaking tens, almost 100 million people were watching. Like, it's baffling to me.
I agree, and so that's been, I don't know, that was my frustration with it. Was I was really hoping for just some more. So I was hoping for some more policy specifics, and I was hoping for policy impact of how those policy specifics statistically would impact us as a country, and what the end goal was, and there just wasn't much of that, and I really was disappointed in that slide to the right, and that just completely, I really do feel like she bombed a lot of answers that got easily overlooked because of how bad Trump was doing. Like that Trump train wrecked. Like it was.
That's what I don't mind her current policies. I think they're probably good, but has she said, like, I think this is a low-hanging fruit to solve X issue? No, she hasn't gone beyond the policy, just like letting you know what it is point. And I don't know how you do that when Trump spoke for an extra 5 minutes. Than more than she did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was probably a few moments she could have taken away from responding to the babbling baboon on her right, and to actually, discuss how our policies would help the people that are trying to watch to learn what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Instead of just deciding between two, personas. And that's what we ended up with is more just like vibe-based voting.
And I want to be very, very clear. I do believe, that a Harris Walz administration has a solid policy platform. I think that this is a messaging problem and a campaign problem. I think that they've been kind of trying to ride the ambiguity because that really worked for them well coming into this. And as soon as you start putting out policy specifics, it gets a lot easier to have things nitpicked at, and then you start having to, defend yourself on these little details, which Republicans are really good at pulling something out and trying to make it look like it's something it's not.
I don't know. I think she should have taken cue from Tim Walz, is the way that he campaigns and the way that he talks about the issues and the things that Minnesota has done. Like he always brings it back to a human dignity position point. In that, if you want to argue against that point, like you're gonna look like the asshole. But like, there's a way to bring it back, and she just can never bring it back to home. And I don't know if it's a messaging issue or if they like just literally haven't thought about like, what can we do for all Americans? Like, is there another infrastructure bill that's more targeted that we can do? Something on the national scale that isn't just going to affect like a few 100,000 people.
No, I agree.
I'm not sure that's out there.
No, I don't think it is. And like I said, I think that this is just because I do have faith that there is a solid structure, and obviously they've got a lot. She's part of a current presidential administration. She's got a lot of current policy structure in place that she can continue with.
Oh,
The Biden
yeah.
administration already had a continuation of their past 4 years in office for their next 4 years. It's just it would be nice to like hear it.
Yeah, no, I am sure that she's going to
Mhm.
continue doing almost all of what the
Mhm.
Biden administration is doing right now.
Mhm.
I don't want to say administratively, but like that's kind of
Right.
whatever. Like what their current plans are. I bet she'll continue with 90%
Mhm.
of them. But we don't know what all those things are anymore because
Yeah.
Biden can't articulate that
Yeah.
anymore, which
Mhm.
is the only reason why he's not running.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
arguably it's not even necessarily his age that made him drop out. It's because he can't campaign anymore.
Yep. Mhm. Absolutely.
I was fighting with one of my buddies on WhatsApp, and
Mhm.
he was like, "Yeah, Biden is. Why didn't they ask her about not fulfilling her duty for the 25th Amendment to say that Biden was incompetent?" And I'm like, just because he can't talk very well
Mhm.
doesn't mean that he can't like actually function as a leader within his staff and within like other world leaders.
Have we ever removed a president under the 25th Amendment?
No,
I don't.
Well, only under when they're basically receiving medical.
I mean, Woodrow Wilson was brain dead for like the last couple of years of his presidency, and we didn't remove him under that. We just had
Basically, it's only under medical procedures where the president is under anesthesia,
Mhm.
and basically.
But it's been temporary. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
it's always
yeah.
temporarily.
But we've
never
never actually like removed a president
No,
under the
we've never
25th
actually
Amendment. Yeah.
fulfilled it. Yeah, we've planned for it plenty of times.
Mhm.
Even Trump did it once, I think, or at least planned to do it.
Mhm.
Then it maybe got changed around. But so like it's the 25th Amendment is used potentially in a lot of times, but like first of all, you have to get most of somebody's cabinet to agree and the
Mhm.
vice president to be like, yeah, we're all like,
Yeah.
you're done, man.
Mhm.
Like, first of all, that's a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
And if you think that's a dumb bar, then why bring up the 25th Amendment in the first place?
Right.
Like, if it's a dumb thing that's never going to happen, then like, let's have a different way to do that. I don't know
Yeah.
what that looks like. Not in today, in the partisan aspects of today's political environment. I don't see how we change that in any way that's meaningful.
I mean, I think the only way would be to put in some sort of objective, like cognitive test that they would have to be able to complete.
Yeah.
And
I mean, sure. I don't know how you make that. I would be happy to implement something like that.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think that's a controversial take
No.
necessarily.
Come on, all I do is hot takes, man.
There's no support within Congress
Right,
to
no.
like do something like that.
Mhm.
I don't think it's ever would ever really make it that far.
I don't either. I don't know. I guess yeah. So that was our. I don't think it was a bad debate performance on her part at all.
It was a good performance.
It was a great performance. It was
a good performance. Not great.
Okay, fair enough. It was I feel like the performance part of it
That's what
was
made
great.
it good.
Yeah. Okay. Just that part of it was great. The actual like debate substance was
bad.
subpar.
Yes. So
Yeah.
the average is good.
Good debate. I will go with that. I will go with that.
Yeah.
I'm looking much more forward to the VP debate anyway.
Oh yeah, I am really really psyched to see how well Tim Walz just shuts down JD Vance, because JD Vance is going to come at him with basically the same tactics, with like maybe a little bit more like substantive anecdotes.
Yeah.
That Trump did,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to be any more effective at all. I don't think.
No.
And I think Walz is going to be much better at
Mhm.
fighting against those in a way that is substantive to the point, and then he gets back to his talking point, or like the question that was actually fucking asked of them.
Yes.
Like he's pretty good at doing that sort of campaigning and discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And somebody in the comments here on the live stream said that we should just implement age limits. No one over 72 should be making decisions for the rest of us. And I agree. I do think that would be a good a good. I mean, it's not really under the 25th Amendment, but it would definitely reduce the need to even consider the 25th Amendment as being an option that we are actively talking about. Should it be implemented?
Yeah.
I don't know why 72 specifically would be the number, but
I think there's an argument to be made for a number hard ceiling. But that's it's very nuanced argument as to what that number is and to why it's that number.
I mean, I just like the no one over 65 is allowed to fly a commercial jet, so that seems like
so as much as you know that I am in favor of getting more millennials and younger people in general into politics, I do still think that there is a place for senior statespeople to be involved.
Yeah. Well, somebody else here, said can't run after federal age of retirement. So, although they're trying to raise that shit now too on us.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how well that went for France.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would go to, I think, almost the aftermath of the debate was more interesting than the debate itself.
Yeah, did you watch the spin room stuff that they were talking about? I
no.
didn't either.
No.
I just heard that basically Trump doubled down on the Springfield cats and dogs for dinner stuff. And that JD Vance was like, I can't believe it took us, saying something weird in order for people to start to realize this is a problem. And it's like, well,
it's a problem you made up. It doesn't exist, man. What do you mean? And he doubled down. He's like, yeah, if I've got to say some weird stuff that's not true to get you guys to pay attention, that's like, I'm willing to do that. I'm like, that's all you guys do. That's all you've been doing this whole time. Since 2016, you've just been saying weird, untrue shit the whole time. And we've been paying attention and making fun of you for it.
Yeah,
the whole time. I don't know. I just want to take a small moment to for everybody listening to this audio only in the future. I didn't know that this was going to be such a topic in the live chat, but everybody is asking about the fact that we're drinking Ham's beer. Like they are just.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't know. Like it's always just been available in Minnesota.
It is our beer, Land of Sky Blue Waters. Somebody did ask where it's brewed. Now it's brewed in Milwaukee. God damn it.
Well, did it get purchased by Leinenkugel,
I think
maybe?
it did, yeah.
Because that would make sense. Why is it brewed in
depressing.
Milwaukee?
I don't know.
Ham's Brewing Co. It could be just a subsidiary of Leinenkugel.
Yeah, I think it is. One of those bigger ones bought it out, but yeah.
Union made, though.
Hell yeah.
It says on there.
I mean, I still drink it. This is my staple. There's always Hams in my fridge, as Taylor knows.
I will drink it when you offer it to me for free. It's a fine light beer.
It's not
even
beer.
that light beer.
No, it's because they do have a Hams Light. This isn't it. I drink Hams Heavy, Hams Regular, whatever you want to call it. But
sure.
I don't know. I think it's up here. It's like $18 for a 30 rack.
It is pretty good deal.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good deal.
And it's got way more flavor than Busch Light.
Yeah, that's true. Busch Light is basically a half step above water.
This is also true.
It's still a beer, so whatever. But I'm actually a bigger fan of Schmidt's.
Really?
Yeah. Schmidt's was one of the beers that I first kind of got into. It's another local Midwest brewery, and I don't know. It's a little bit more smooth, I think, but still with a little bit more flavor than like a McGolden or a Busch. So I used to bring a 30-pack up on a weekend, boys' weekend, and crush that case of beer.
Yeah, I bounced through all the cheap 30 rack beers when I was going through my divorce, and I'm like, all right, I'm drinking a lot. I need to be more budget conscious here.
No, I mean probably most Midwesterners have gone through a crisis like that.
Yep, and that's where you really learn what cheap beer you're willing to settle on.
Right.
And
have you? I'm sure you have. What's the dog one? The Dog House?
Oh, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
I've had it. I did not settle on that one.
I bet not.
That Ice House is not great.
Ice House.
There's also Schlitz. There's Smiths and Schlitz.
Yeah. I've actually. What's the one that Amhire Amhauser, whatever.
Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah, Anheuser-Busch. They bought, it was it's not, is it Natty Ice?
Oh, Natty Ice is disgusting.
Or is it Natural Blue, or what's it's like the same thing as Coors Light.
Natty Light.
Is it Natty Light? It's like the same thing.
There's also Keystone.
Keystone, that's what it is.
Keystone's Coors, I think.
Keystone and Coors, yeah. Oh yeah, it is Coors.
Yeah,
but it's like the same thing as Coors, but it's like a slightly different.
No, my buddy drinks Keystone because he's like, it's the exact same thing as Coors Light. And I'm like, A, that's not a good thing, and B, it's not.
I think it is the same thing. It tastes the same to me.
Anyways,
so I mean, for the debate, like, there's some commentary from Fox and stuff. It's like, oh, it's like a 3v1 debate and blah 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 because they fact checked in real time.
Yeah, I love that now. Fact checking your lies, just a few of your lies, not even all, not even like 20%,
or just being like, hey, like, this is the question that you still didn't answer. Like, do you have a response for this?
Yeah.
Like, they were like, oh no, now it's 3v1. Clearly the moderators are just being completely unfair by demanding an answer for a question that you're supposed to be answering. It's weird.
Yeah, it is sad that we've come down to just saying that this is objectively, provably, easily false. And you shouldn't be saying that without, some form of accountability is now ganging up on you.
Right.
Like, you can't lie with impunity. That's
yes,
the injustice,
right? So, and I heard about this from X at aka Twitter from said buddy who I was arguing with about the 25th Amendment, and so what could be potentially a very fake affidavit by a fake ABC employee. Supposedly, they are an ABC employee who is now a whistleblower who put out an affidavit saying that ABC News is very biased against Trump, which is like, yeah, that's probably true. Just like Fox is very biased against everybody except for the one person they want to talk about that day. And claimed that the Harris Walz campaign demanded that they do not refer to a few topics, not discussing at all. What I'm sure is some of the topics that the Trump campaign was like, you shouldn't talk about this either.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was some of those, as I'm sure there are for every single debate of all time. I'm sure that they demand requests that you don't bring up certain topics. So
somebody in the comments here. So the affidavit is so incorrect. They call themselves a dependent at the end, not the affiant.
Yeah, no. The more I hear about it, the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking it's completely fake. Well, they hid their name, which is like, so it's a whistleblower, so like obviously, and then they claimed it was notarized, but then they hid the notary information, so you can't verify that either. And
yeah, no, and that's why, like, when you brought this up and asked if we should like talk about this today, and I'm like, I looked it up and I'm like, the only thing I can find, the like only half-ass reliable information I could find on it at all was like the Houston Times.
No, it's not even the Houston Times. It's the Hindustan Times.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I was okay. So I was like, I'm just not feeling
Hindustan
Times.
Hindustan Times, New Delhi. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now there's a few more. Now it's on the Main Wire. It's on Daily Mail. So it's kind of made its way to the
tabloids now.
Like the tabloids, yeah.
Also, not reliable media
sources.
No,
not at all. But basically, complaining that they're now demanding that they don't ask three, questions that are about irrelevant topics that never would have made it on the debate stage anyway, and that they asked that they do live fact checking for fucking once. So it's like, even if this was real, this would basically prove nothing.
Yeah, like, cool. You asked them to do their job,
right? You're like, hey, don't talk about Biden's health because
it's irrelevant.
Even if they did ask, they would just say that's a personal, to Biden, and he is still able to fulfill his duty as president, which is cool. Nobody fucking cares. He's going to be gone in a few months. And then they were like, don't ask about her time as attorney general, which is like, unless it's about a specific investigation, it's like, seems irrelevant to me. Or I guess not potentially irrelevant.
But like it's not relevant to the debate stage. Like that has nothing to do with they're debating what is going to happen in the next administration if they are elected. That has nothing to do with the current president's health. That will
right. And then they were like, don't ask about some sort of embezzlement charges that aren't even actual charges on the Tony West, who's married to Kamala's sister. Who potentially embezzled government funds, but
Hunter Biden's laptop type shit.
Yeah, it's they've been like investigating him for like a decade or something like that. So even if it was real, wouldn't have made a difference. Nobody would have learned anything new.
And apparently, according to somebody else in here, the quote unquote whistleblower is a big Trump supporter as well.
Well, right. You don't feel obligated to do this unless you're like at least at the very minimum, like you voted for Trump in 2016, and like maybe now you're like, I'm not so sure, but I still feel like it's unfair.
I did think it was funny how like after the debate though, like Trump very clearly by any objective measure lost that debate.
Yeah.
Pretty miserably.
For sure.
But according to Newsmax polls, he was the far and away winner, and then he's like, the polls out there, they are, some are saying 80, 85, 90, 92% say that I won the debate, and it just keeps making up like every number.
Right.
He did that during the debate too. He's like 70, 75, 80, 85%. I don't even remember what it was for, but like it could only be one of those numbers if any of them were accurate. And you can't just go up on the numbers as you're going along.
What I heard what he did was he basically took polls from Twitter and he just like at the moment that he saw that they were good for him, he was like, that's the number I'm going to take. The polls weren't even done because they'd only been going for like 30 minutes. And he was like, yep, see, that poll says I'm ahead. So fuck it, let's go.
The Newsmax poll, which is clearly the most reliable poll out here
on Twitter. Like it's like, are you sure that's where most Americans would go? I feel like no.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Twitter and debate aftermath, so then this debate is what finally made T Swift come out to decide that she was going to make an endorsement, which. To me, again, I don't see why so many people care, but she definitely has a force with her followers.
Apparently, so following the night of the debate, around 400,000 people signed up to vote on vote.org.
Yeah.
So if you want to say she brought 500,000 voters into the pool, it's like, cool. Unless they live in the specific swing states where like that little amount of voters actually matter, it's pretty much a non-thing that will not affect the election at all.
Yeah, no,
I mean, fortunately or unfortunately.
But I mean, 400,000 people signing up within minutes is still a big deal. I'm glad it's getting people engaged. Right. I do think it's not hurting anything.
No.
And I do think that. She definitely has, and a lot of these are younger people that may not go out to vote. I don't know where the demographics lay. I mean, I feel like people all across the country like T Swizzle. So
yeah, she's.
I just personally don't understand how like people are that obsessed with her personally, and I also don't like. To me, I'm still of the there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire mindset, and
there is no such thing,
and so like and it's Taylor Swift Incorporated, it is not Taylor Swift as a person anymore. It is
literally a couple man, $1 billion corporation.
And these types of things are calculated business decisions at this point. And it's not like she's not an activist. She's not if she was an activist, she would have come out on this a long time ago. She waits till it's safe enough as a business decision to make these things, and I'm glad that she does, and I'm glad for the support of the Swifties. But But she did that. She signed it, a childless cat lady, which I appreciated. That was a beautiful dig with her, professionally taken photo of her cat.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be professional.
Yeah, obviously. It was very Vogue.
She has an image.
Very Vogue.
I mean, like, is she a more ethical billionaire than like any other billion-dollar company? Probably.
She's not the least ethical billionaire by far.
Yeah.
No, she's the most ethical, unethical billionaire, probably.
Probably, I would argue that she's most likely the most ethical billion-dollar company. Is that saying like much? No. It's a billion-dollar company that generally doesn't do anything.
It's like when Target's like, we're doing transgender bathroom stuff. We're putting stuff for gay people on the shelves. It's like, cool, I'm glad you're doing that, but you're not doing it because you like care about those issues.
No, you want to make money off of it.
Yeah. And so like it's those sort of things. If you look through it that light, it's like, two things can be true. Is this a ethical decision? Yes. Is it something that's done like selflessly because of the cause or the issue? Probably not. But is it still going to cause a net good? Probably. And like multiple things can be true.
Well, that's why the term activist doesn't fit at all. But like doing charity work is like cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I have some big issues with charity work, honestly. But that's not this particular podcast. We could do a whole podcast on why charity is not what people make it out to be.
Yeah, we totally could. And I mean, there's a lot out there about it.
There is. I think that would be a good one. But anyway, she did that, and then Elon Musk, who is desperately trying to remain a relevant billionaire, responded to that. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see his response.
Oh, he said, "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and defend your cat with my life," or something like that.
Yeah, actually, that does ring a bell. I just thought it was completely unhinged and didn't make any sense. So I was like, okay.
It felt very rapey to me.
It did feel a little violating.
Yeah, going back to
I'll give you a kid.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And then the protect your cat with my life. Some people are like thinking he was her kitty.
Right.
That's so that could be. It definitely sounds like that shit. The creepy pasty kid in high school you were only nice to because you didn't want to end up on his list when he finally snapped that one day.
Right.
Would say like joking about the girls at school,
or even if it's not meant to be in that like overtly sexual manner, just like if he was like just joking about giving her one of his many children, that would be pretty friggin' weird.
Yeah,
in its
well,
own
he
right.
wants to pawn off his trans daughter anyway.
I'm sure he does.
But yeah, so that was weird, and then like Elon went on to say that like him and Taylor, they're kingmakers because their endorsement is going to be what gets whichever president elected. And I'm like, I don't think that that's how this works. I feel like Taylor's endorsement will probably have some effect on the election. I feel like yours is also having an effect, but not the one you were hoping for.
I mean, you can't both be kingmakers because only one of them can win. So how can you both be doing the thing?
That's what he's saying, is that one of them is going to be a kingmaker because their endorsement. But it's like, I just feel like Taylor's endorsement is probably getting young people out to vote, and Elon's endorsement is getting people who buy Teslas to not buy Teslas. That's
right. They were like, I bought this. I saw the bumper stickers. I bought this Tesla before Elon bought Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, the bumper stickers. Yeah. Like, I bought this before we all found out he was a douchebag.
Right.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, we all had our moment where it's like, all right, Elon's pretty cool, when he's like, I'm just going to name this the big fucking rocket, and I'm going to make a flamethrower for no reason and shit.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, before, and when he was like going to like do like the whole Boring Company and like do the light rail thing between LA and San Francisco, you're like, oh, cool, gonna do that. He's gonna go to space. He made a flamethrower. Tesla's pretty sweet. And then he went down his right wing arc.
I really do feel like it was not to be, because Howard Hughes was like an actual engineering genius, aerospace genius. And I've said this before. Elon has not invented anything. Elon is not an engineer. Elon is not a genius. Elon is is not Tony
He
Stark.
got in on the ground floor in PayPal because somebody else created all of the PayPal stuff, and he was just there.
But I will, giving credit where it's due, Elon has had, that's kind of gone away now, an incredible talent at convincing rich people to invest in shit they would never invest in.
Yeah.
And none of those companies would have gotten off the ground without that. Like, nobody's going to go invest in a new car company. New car companies haven't started in fucking decades because they take a ton of capital and they're highly risky. A fucking rocket ship company? Are you kidding me? Like, you're never going to get billionaires to invest, or like rich people to invest in that shit.
I mean, honestly, first of all, I do think Tesla probably would have still made cars, just not as
I think
much.
it would have been like Fisker, or, you know.
Yeah, it would have been smaller. And I
Mhm.
do think that the timing for him to do SpaceX could not have been better, with NASA receiving record low funding in comparison to GDP.
Right.
And just the lack of wanting to spend money on space and wanting to privatize space. So like he got in at the good time.
And there's definitely, you don't become that successful without a hell of a lot of luck and a hell of a lot of privilege and a hell of a lot of connections.
What?
And, yeah,
That's crazy. I've never heard of something like that before. I feel like
it's always bootstraps, man.
always bootstraps.
Always
It's
bootstraps.
not something called privilege or white privilege. In any way?
No,
Nothing like that. Okay.
But credit where it's due. These companies became what they were because he did manage to secure that funding, and in a sort of way, will them into reality. Not always in the most ethical fashions, again, or anything like that. But that was his quote unquote genius. But I think that
he did smash his way into the Cybertruck scene.
Yeah. Dude, and like the Cybertruck is like the newest model iPhone of Tesla. I feel like they came out like with something super innovative, right? And like all these new models were like really cool and had all these new features and all this stuff that was really amazing. And then they're like, all right, now it's all of that stuff, but worse.
Right, in a really weird looking truck thingy that you can tear apart with your bare hands.
Oh, and the fact that it is the most, because like I remember when they're like, oh, this is the most rigid vehicle ever built, and I'm like, that's bad for so many reasons. That's bad off-road. You need flex. That's bad in an accident. You're going to die now. Like that thing is a disaster.
Anyways, enough of the Elon bashing.
I just that was creepy, but Elon is creepy.
He is creepy now. That's what a creepy, like Bond villain would say if he was on Twitter.
Yeah, it definitely is. So yeah, I think that was kind of the aftermath. We've obviously gotten a lot of great memes from the aftermath of the debate. I don't know. It was just mediocre-ish. It was fun to watch Trump unravel, but yeah.
It was I don't know. Fun is not even necessarily the word I'd use. Like,
fair enough.
Torture?
Yeah.
Like self-imposed torture?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fair. I've had a couple people. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I can't state how bad he talks. Like, it's almost worse than Biden not be able to actually talk, because he just never says anything that is useful.
Yeah.
In any way.
No, and it's the same shit over and over and over again.
It always ties back to immigration.
Yeah.
Every single time.
The fucking brown people.
Or like he tries to bring up some authoritarian leader in Hungary and is like, yeah, see, he likes me. You should too.
Yeah, I know. The fact that he was like, oh, Viktor Orban, one of the most he said this in the debate. He's like, one of the most respected leaders in the world by fucking who, man? Yeah. Putin? Like what?
Right. Yeah. Pretty much Putin and him.
And the fact she didn't call that, I mean, she called it out with his obsession with the strongman thing, but the fact that she didn't specifically call out why are you aggrandizing Viktor Orban? This is
Putin. He was and Putin likes me. I have a relationship. Putin would have been very happy if I had been a president. It's like, no shit, because you can't fucking do anything.
Yeah. All right. This is sort of off topic to this, but hey, we've got Well, we were going to add in the second Trump assassination attempt, right? We were just going to kind of cover that.
It happened.
It happened.
Kind of, not really.
Sort of.
There
A
were
guy hid in the bushes, and then he got caught hiding in the bushes.
Right. He never fired a shot.
No.
So it's not, I mean, it's a planned assassination.
Yeah. But those happen like every other day with presidents.
They do have it a lot.
Yeah,
presidents.
like way more than you would think.
He got pretty close
He did.
to, being in the right spot at the right time.
I bet had the first guy not like failed at shooting Trump and like didn't do that, like, and the Secret Service detail
they
was
weren't
so
like on edge because of the prior.
He may have gotten a chance to shoot at him.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
And then the Israeli terrorist attack we were going to maybe kind of cover. And when I say the pager bombs, this, I don't know when this episode will air. It'll be a little bit of old news by then, I'm sure. But
it's still coming. There's really news is still unfolding about this.
It's a terror. There's no two ways about this. This was a terror attack. If you aren't familiar with it, Israel basically got their hands on communication pagers and walkie-talkies. I didn't know you could still buy a new pager in 2024. But
Hezbollah did it in order to not allow Israel to monitor the communications.
I gotcha.
As easily.
So they got a bunch of pagers and walkie-talkies, and Israel intercepted those packages, or somehow got.
No, they ordered them, and then supposedly it's a European company that has manufacturing.
Turkey and
Turkey.
It was a Turkish company, and they manufactured it in Taiwan.
No, nothing came from Taiwan. Apparently, according to the Taiwanese manufacturer, they licensed the model and copyright to a European company.
Mm-hmm.
Supplied all of the actual pagers to Israel. To Hezbollah.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow Israel worked with some Turkey, Europe, wherever, to put the 2 to 3 ounces of explosive into 3,000 to 4,000 pagers.
Yeah,
that they knew Hezbollah was trying to procure.
Yeah, so they just mass ship thousands of devices, explosive devices, to people, and then they had no idea who would actually have possession of these devices.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had reasonable suspicion that Hezbollah was going to be giving them to their
people, but reasonable suspicion that, like, hey, you can let your kid play with your walkie-talkie at home type of shit, like, that sort of thing. You have no idea. You have no idea where these people were going to be when these bombs went off.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think the terrorism type of word gets thrown around in this situation is not because you're targeting combatants potentially. It's the way that you're targeting them, in that civilians are very much impacted, if not physically. Some have died. A lot have been injured. And then B, you're literally creating terror in public, in situations that civilians are around.
It fits the literal definition of terrorism is violence or intimidation especially against civilians. To proceed towards a political goal. Right. That fits this to a T. I mean, they have the slight cover of, we were targeting Hezbollah, but you were targeting Hezbollah in public, and you were doing this, and that's what I think it was, is they knew that this was going to be
a shock and awe thing.
And they wanted that to be this was psychological warfare against the civilians, against the innocent people. This had nothing to do with Hezbollah, aside from the fact that they are trying to make sure that there's no public support for Hezbollah there, or make people fear to have support for them, but the fact that they did that it's terrorism. There's no two ways about it. That is cut and dry terrorism. There is the only difference between this and Timothy McVeigh or the Boston City bomber or Boston Marathon bombers or the Unabomber is that they did it with the support of a full country and the military and intelligence agency behind them, and it's
I don't think that the cover of targeting Hezbollah should give really much merit in this situation.
No, there's no
you
merit.
Can't target them specifically and then target them in a way that affects the public.
No.
You've just done terrorism then. You've fallen from a military action to terrorism. you lost it. That's
Yeah.
that you went too far.
Yeah,
But that's
it's like you can't go blow up a hospital or a school because there's a Hezbollah agent person in there. You
they
know,
do.
I mean, they do that
obviously in Gaza all the fucking time. Like, oh, there was probably Hamas in that school, and that's one of the 4 schools that's remaining. So we're gonna bomb it for sure.
I just want to say I'm surprised that my TikTok live hasn't gone into ban mode already.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just think if they were like, if it was not meant to be a like public spectacle, they could have done something less explosive, like do like something like a poison blah 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 whatever, some sort of
like you could if they were to have set this up as like a very targeted, we know that these devices are going to be delivered to a Hezbollah distribution station at this time, and we're going to detonate it to, when we know that it's just going to be a concentrated member of Hezbollah in their facility, then great. That was a targeted military situation, and we can war is war,
tip your hats to ingenuity,
right? Sure,
whatever, but not.
No, they passed that opportunity and went for most collateral damage possible, and thousands of people were injured. Kids were killed, and then people were injured and killed at the funeral for the kids the next day who were killed. And like, it's just fucking mind blowing.
It's crazy that we're still. This is the country that we're like, yep, this is going to be our ally for all time, because we've already pissed off everybody else in the region, and now we're just going to pick one to be our ally.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the other problem, or the other thing that I kind of wanted to tie this into is, did you see the like John Kennedy interview?
The Arab coalition lady. Yeah, that was
rough.
I literally just watched it like a couple minutes before we started. Drove up here, and I was like, this is kind of overtly racist on the floor of. Not Congress, but like in a congressman speaking to somebody that's supposed to be
senator,
there. Right?
And why is it that every time I hear John Kennedy speak, it feels like you're trying to explain to Grandpa how to download a PDF, and he gets frustrated and just goes into a racist tirade about it, like
right?
That man, how the Kennedys have fallen.
Is he even related to that Kennedy?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
There's Kennedys are not the most common name, but it's a pretty common name.
Yeah. But no. So and so I don't love, but I love how that happened right before Israel did this.
Right.
Because he went through and he's like, "Do you support Hamas?" And she's like, "No, I don't support Hamas or Hezbollah, but I want to point out that you saying this is racist, and I'm glad you like asked me that question, funny enough." And he's like, "But do you support Hamas?" And she's like,
I already said no.
Yeah.
And the way that you're framing this whole conversation is racist and leads to hate crime, which we're supposed to be stopping here today.
And then, so like she explicitly said no. He's like, "You can't say no." And then at the end, he's like, "Okay, so what I got from this is you support Hamas."
Right.
And like, I'm like,
She literally said she didn't support violent efforts of Hamas and Hezbollah.
Okay, so somebody said, "Yeah, no, he's not a Kennedy."
No, he's just a Kennedy blowhard.
Yeah. Not that like I mean, RFK isn't doing much better. So
well, to be fair, he's never done anything like this in politics before, so he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
And he's got the excuse of a brain worm.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. A bunch of people in the comments wanted to talk about John Kennedy, and that was disturbing. And I genuinely hope that I mean, there's going to be no accountability for that.
I mean, he's a representative in
Louisiana.
They're
like, hell yeah.
Like,
why is there no towel up there on top of her noggin?
Right? I thought she was Arab. Why thought she was a Muslim Islamist.
Oh yeah, and he did say that that was a really fucked up thing, is that she should have a bag over her head.
Oh yeah, the whole bag overhead, like wow,
waterboard torture type shit. Is that what exactly are you getting at here?
It was like a really weird moment.
Yeah,
just like surreal kind of. just can't fathom how a senator says that, straight faced and like isn't completely just like trashed after that. Like, because she's brown, you should have a bag over her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I see where we're at.
Feels very Dick Cheney era to me.
Right, but 20 years later.
Also, can we talk about that Dick Cheney? I don't think we talked about this on the podcast yet.
Oh, that Dick Cheney has supported Kamala?
Yeah. Makes me feel weird in all the wrong ways.
Does not make me feel good about things.
No. I never wanted the Venn diagram I had between me and traditional conservative Republicans to have dick in it.
Right, I saw it. That was a good way to put it.
Yeah. I mean,
Liz Cheney, okay, but not Dick. No.
And I mean, I think all Dick is doing at this point is setting his daughter up for a potential presidential run or something along those lines.
Or just like supporting her career as a moderate Republican, of which there's less and less space for some position like that.
So I think that, and then I theorized in my video about that he was just mad that Trump may be taking his title as the most damaging person to our democracy in history, and he's like, no, I worked hard for that fucking title.
This is my heavyweight belt. Come on, take it from me.
So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I was like, this was not the endorsement I was looking for.
No. I mean, there's no endorsement at this point that really matters at all. I don't think.
No, it was weird. I just don't like being on the same side of anything.
No.
I mean, enemy of my enemy and whatever, that's fine. I can live with that, but it just makes me feel dirty.
Yes, it does that. It does.
It makes you feel wrong in all the wrong ways.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've beat this half-assed plan.
I don't know what you're talking about. This was an extremely well thought out and well designed.
Clearly on topic.
episode.
We started with the debate and ended on Dick Cheney.
We're laser focused.
Actually, Dick Cheney was almost coming back around to it because we started on the debate and then just like went on to Hezbollah for a while and shit, and then John Kennedy, and now back to Dick.
Yeah. We're on topic. Absolutely.
We're drunk driving through this a little bit.
We do not support drunk driving.
No, we don't support drunk driving. I'm talking through the outline of our of our podcast.
We're not going to be Justin Timberlake, Anyways, well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Obviously, if you made it this far, we appreciate you, and you're a very true fan. We would love your support financially through subscriptions, memberships, Patreon, YouTube. We are getting a growing membership on YouTube, and it's going to be something really cool that we can have a lot of one-on-one interaction with.
No, it's been great. And despite what you probably got from this particular episode, this stuff does normally take a lot of time and effort and work to put together. We do spend real money, our own money, to make sure that it happens, and we keep trying to increase production quality. Somebody asked where we can listen to the pod here. You can pick up the podcast pretty much any place you can get podcasts. We're on every major and semi-major platform.
All the minor podcast platforms.
You can get it in video form on YouTube. Yep. You can actually see my eyes, which everybody is always surprised to see for the first time. I do have optical devices in my skull.
It's like every episode you get one person.
I have a few in this one too. Yep. So if that's something you've been curious about what they look like, they just boring brown eyes, but they're here. You can check it out there. Yeah. But yeah, we've got a Patreon, we got a YouTube subscription.
Or just subscribe to whatever podcast or YouTube channel. It all helps.
Everything helps, even just the watches and the listens. Obviously, that's why we're here doing it. Specifically is because you guys pay attention and listen to us, and we hate having to do the PBS style
the viewer drive or whatever that NPR does.
But no, we appreciate you guys being here and tuning in, and we will see you next week.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in.